Glenville. Really excited about today's episode. Culture Creative is really about bringing people that are doing incredible things at the top of their industry or whatever they're doing, so that you can listen and learn about things that they have learned along their way, along their journeys. I run a brand development agency called Just Up the Road, helping brands and companies really relay their message and marketing initiatives. I also host a 21st Club think tank, which brings together people that do good and give back through social, spiritual, and environmental initiatives. So today, let's bring in our guest, Adam. Really excited to speak to Adam. Hello, mate.
Hello.
Good to see you. How are you? I'm very glad and thankful for your time today.
My pleasure. For you, anything.
I appreciate that, Adam. Adam, let's start. I'd like to hear, obviously I know who you are, but I'd like to hear your name, who you are, and what you currently are doing.
My name is Adam Taubenfliegel. I'm a co-founder and creative director of Triarchy, and I also lead our sustainability efforts. So it's interesting being a designer and sustainability lead, because I'm a sustainability lead before I'm a designer, because I have to be very clear on what that lens is, and then I can design from that place. So it's always like the foundation of sustainability followed by design into product.
I really find that interesting, Adam. And I'm not sure, you've probably told me that before, but as you were saying that, I was thinking there's probably not many brands that are set up structurally like that, as in the designer is looking through the lens of sustainability first and foremost before they're designing products, right?
Right. And I think that that's where the problem comes in, because you do the design and then it's like, okay, let's make it sustainable. And then you're kind of like, you have to deconstruct it instead of just doing it from the beginning. And if you do it from the beginning, then it flows downstream like a river and you're good to go, which is why I love how some of the fashion schools are starting to make mandatory sustainability classes so that the students are always thinking with that lens. Then it's not a challenge. Then you know your parameters. If you design free and clear, but then it's like, oh, but I can't source that this way and I can't source that way, then of course it's going to be a problem and it's going to get expensive. And then you're going to be like, nah, forget it. Just do it the way you designed it and we'll be better next time. And so you have to dial it back.
So do you think, I didn't actually know fashion schools or colleges, universities were starting to do that. Do you think that's going to really end up being something that is that you have to have?
I certainly hope so. I mean, I work with the denim program at FITM on some of their projects, and I help to judge their things. But I do like that when those students come to see me, they all talk about how sustainability is part of their curriculum, how it's like ingrained in what they're doing from the beginning now.
That's very cool. I think that's really cool, because I could imagine being a student there, and then when you're coming in to work on projects and initiatives with them, that would excite me to know that as a student they could learn from someone that's in the industry already leading the way doing that.
I mean, it's nice for both of us, really.
Right.
Like well, because it was frustrating in years past when I would have a group come in and then just be like, do you guys talk about this stuff at all at school? And it was like, well, not really. Like we did have to write a paper about this or that, but it's just, if it's not like the front and center thing, then it's going to be that same problem of trying to deconstruct something to make it sustainable after the fact,
Yeah. So let's give us a bit of insight, Adam, into what Triarchy is, what Triarchy Denim is.
Well, it's first and foremost, we're a denim brand, which is what we've always been, but we had definitely decided, my brother and sister and I founded it together, and it became really clear to us really quickly how wasteful denim is, how unnecessarily consuming it is. And so we just wanted to be an example for how you can do it better. And so we kind of started before sustainability was a trend, and it was difficult in those days to find what was good and what was greenwashing on the production side. And then as the years go by, like what's exciting about this field is that there's always new innovations. So we may be doing something a certain way, and then we'll find out next season, like, oh, but actually, like, that was better. Why don't we adopt that? So that's like, we're always pivoting, and we're seeing what people are doing, and we're having conversations. And truthfully, when you interact with people on the sustainable front, as opposed to fashion, I find the doors are open. It's much more collaborative, whereas like fashion is very competitive, and it's been very like secrets, instead of just like, let's all share what we do and then we can all get better, instead of this nonsense way of doing things. But I think the coronavirus times has really shone a light on the importance of everyone just like relaxing and helping each other and like moving into nice new spaces together, So yeah. I hope that sticks.
I'm sure it will. I mean, if I think about, for example, the community through the think tank that you're very much an integral part of as well, the fact that everybody is so willing to share any knowledge they have, whether it's through social good or whether it's environmental initiatives, everybody wants to see everybody else succeed within those parameters, right?
Right.
So let's go back a bit further, because I know Triarchy started a bit different to where it is now. Can you take us back a bit? What led you to the path where you started Triarchy and then those beginnings?
Yeah, I mean, basically we just love denim, so we started the denim brand. And when you're manufacturing in Los Angeles in these sort of smaller facilities, it's kind of difficult to understand that what you're doing is being wasteful. Because if you have like 5 or 6 cutting tables, 5 or 6 laundry machines, it doesn't really make you think. You're just like, yeah, fair enough. You have to wash denim, so here we are doing that, and great. But then I started working for a company in China where I was doing design for them. So I had to go over a couple times a year just to like pre-production and whatnot. And what I saw when I would go over there was the manufacturing at scale. And so now you're in a room with like 100 machines spewing water and chemicals and no one wearing masks. And so that's when I was kind of like, forced to look at the question of, interesting. So our goal as a brand is to grow. And so if we grow, then we would occupy a facility like this, which is the goal of growing a company. But how can our goal be to increase wastefulness? That seems weird. And so I kind of came back and just said, like, I don't want to be manufacturing at the volume of what I'm working on over there. It doesn't make any sense. And so we were kind of like, and then at the same time, we were introduced to that documentary, The True Cost. And then it became a very, you can't unsee what you've seen thing. And then all of a sudden we were just like, we can't, that's not our goal. That's not what our motives are. This isn't an ego project. So we can't make it one. So we have to remove everything we're doing, and we need to find a new way to do it. And so we took our brand offline for a year, more like a year and a half, of just recalibrating everything from the ground up. And then we brought it back to market in 2018.
So I want to unpack that a little bit more. You launched the brand with your brother and sister, essentially as a denim brand. You were doing some consulting work with a company, and you went to a facility in China. Mm-hmm. And so on that visit, on the consulting work, that's what opened your eyes and made you to start to think further about what it was that the industry does within fashion and denim. Is that how it worked?
Right. And because in LA, you don't really have facilities that big.
Right.
Like that big, where it's like a literal football field of laundry. Like you just don't have that in LA. So even if you're like big production in LA, it still feels pretty chill. So it doesn't make that bell go off of like, wait a minute, like this doesn't seem responsible. But then over there, you're like, wow, this is nuts.
Wow. And so, I mean, I don't know many brands that have started in the fashion industry and got to a point like what you've done, and then just gone, okay, this is not the way we're doing it. Instead of kind of burying that in the back of your mind, you made the decision to essentially close the brand down for a period of time, restructure things. So in that period of time when you took it offline, what was the process you go through to?
Well, we had inventory, which was nice, so we could still sustain online, although that got real choppy towards the end, to be honest. It was just, there wasn't much left. But it was really just a lot of trial and error, a lot of question asking, a lot of like trying to follow a trail to a more sustainable way. And there weren't these like hub resources that we have now that make it a lot easier. But like we were faced a lot of the time too with, we all know about greenwashing on the consumer side of things, but we were faced a lot with greenwashing from the manufacturing side of things. Like a manufacturer will tell you like, this is the equipment and this is the output. And so we're like, great, this is wonderful. And then it's like, but wait a minute, are you actually using this machinery? Because if I'm not there 24/7, how do I know that? I don't own the factory. And so we did actually have a few of those experiences where we found out that, you weren't like, you would use the sustainable equipment for sampling and then just kind of divert to the old stuff for production. But tell us that, and like we did experience that. And that really, and that sets you back because setting up at a new factory is a lot of work. And so like when you're kind of like dealing with that and it's just a bit,
Well, how did you deal with that then? If you found out those things, I mean, that's a big process, right?
You cut and run. There's no conversation. There's no, I can't work with people that don't have integrity. So it's just like, you're done. It's not like, let's try again. Like, be honest this time. Like, no, like you don't, no.
I think that's a good lesson for people to learn is that you might in your mind think, because you just said about how big the process is to set up with a manufacturer, with a vendor, you might just, I'll give them another chance. But I think that's a good lesson to learn is no, you're not aligning with what we are.
You're not aligning with our values. So you're out. Yeah.
Right. See, Adam, we met the first time. It was an event that I attended, and it was a now mutual friend of ours, Lisa. You and Lisa were talking at, it was like a part screening of this incredible film that she was a producer on called River Blue. And I remember my wife and I we saw part of the documentary, and then we heard from yourself and Lisa, and I was just blown away by what we saw in the parts they showed of us from the documentary River Blue and the incredible work Lisa had done. And then you went on to explain about everything and the processes. And I've been in fashion for over 20 years, and I didn't know a lot of that information that was in the film and what you actually spoke about. And so essentially I had to learn more, and that's how you and I met. We spoke after the event, and you've been an integral part of my think tank community. And so tell me a bit about your involvement or your kind of partaking in that process of everything that is shined a light on in River Blue.
I mean, that film really does such a good job at like breaking it down and like pulling the curtain back. And I really believe there are two kinds of people, like ones that can look behind the curtain and like can unsee it, and ones who are like, not my problem. But like I'm the former. So it just like what's nice about that film is that it shows you what I saw in China. And how would you ever be able to see that unless you're going and trying to produce a brand and stuff? So to really to show consumers, it's the whole you don't know what you don't know thing. And so to be able to bring that to light and to really explain why it's such a beast of a garment to produce. Because most people like a lot of the time when I share the water statistics on denim, people are like, why do you need water for denim? Even that innocent, I don't understand. What are you doing with water? Do you just like make jeans and put them on a shelf? I'm like, well, not exactly, like it's a lot,
Yeah, I mean, tell me about then the hashtag that you have. How much water are you wearing? Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that that was such a nice way to really get people to think, because it makes you go like, what, like, it's exactly like the reverse of the whole, like, what do you mean you need water? It's like, well, how much water are you wearing? And if every day when you get dressed, you have the ability to think about how much water went into all your clothing versus how much water you consume as a human to eat, drink, wash, whatever, like it really, like every day, whatever you're putting on clothing wise is likely far greater than what you're consuming, right? But we don't take that into account with our consumption. We're like, yeah, I save water. Like I turn off the tap when I brush my teeth, and I do the like quick cycle on the laundry, and like, you know, but the truth is like if you're just buying irresponsible garments, like the footprint is just gargantuan. And it's like, so that's our way of just getting you to stop and think and be like, oh, okay, how do I look into that? Which is interesting because it is not the consumer's responsibility to have to sit down and like put on their glasses and like deep dive into brands to try to make sense. That's not up to the consumer. That's the brand's responsibility. And so, you know, if you're going and doing the research and you're not really finding any information like relatively easily, then probably move on to something else. And what I've really appreciated for the time that we're in right now, because it's given us a lot of time to stop and just think about what we want to do, it became really clear to me that before this, I found the idea of a third party assessment and an audit into what we do as maybe more of a luxury. Like if you go to our about page, you'll see all the stuff and like, cool. But the truth is like, why should you trust me? You know, like I know you should because I'm not lying, but you don't. Like for a person who doesn't know me and doesn't know the brand, why wouldn't they go on and be like, yeah, but like I don't know these guys. And so, and it took me a while because like I'm very I'm very honest and I'm trustworthy, and so I don't expect that people would look at me with a lens other than that. But if you don't know me, why wouldn't you be skeptical? So it became really clear that a third party, like an audit from a third party resource, is mandatory. And I think on the other side of this coronavirus business, it's going to be very clear that if you have a brand with no purpose, how are you going to communicate? Honestly, like really, hey, you want to buy this junk? Like it's not. So I think there's going to be just a super spike in greenwashing. I think a lot of people will just, recycled hang tag, we're sustainable now. You know, there's going to be lots of those things. But so what I think will really differentiate sustainable businesses moving forward are the ones that have links and access on their website to a third-party audit that is done away from me. I'm just paying them to do it. And then you cannot question it, second guess it, nothing, because it's like, it's all there. And so that's what we're doing now. Like we've employed a couple people to do supply chain, to do carbon mapping, water, all of that stuff, so that you can just go and it's not even in my hands anymore. It's just, this is transparency at its finest. And what's nice about it too is it'll probably shine a light on a few places where we could do better. And instead of being like, ooh, don't show that because it's not great, be like, okay, this is where we're at with that and we're going to get better. And like, thanks, you know?
Yeah. I just, there's so much about what you just said, Adam, rings so true. I think that it's also important. I want to go back to something you did say that felt really empowering when you said it, about thinking in the morning when you put on your clothes, what has actually gone into manufacturing or making that product, that your favorite shirt or your favorite pair of denim that you wear. And I think about it a lot when it comes to food in agriculture, for example. The way society is set up is you're not meant to be thinking about these things. Mm-hmm. You don't think about, where do my blueberries come from when I go to the supermarket? You just think, I want to eat blueberries, and you go and buy them. Kind of the same with denim. I want a pair of denim, I'm going to go and buy them. You're not thinking that next stage process, right?
But I like that that thing you said, because something I've been saying lately is, if you walk down the grocery store, down the aisle, and if every product you picked up didn't have an ingredient label or a nutrition label, you'd probably be like, what's going on here? And like, can I speak to someone? And yet we walk down the aisles of clothing stores all the time, and we'd never even think to ask for that information. And it's going on our biggest organ. And so I figure if you pick up two products and one of them had all the nutritional information and one of them didn't, you'd likely go for the one where you know what it is you're eating. And so I do feel like that should apply for denim too. Like if you can pick it up and scan the QR code and see the entire map and see the carbon and see everything, then it's like, okay, well, I'll buy these ones because I know what I'm buying here, you know?
I love that. I really love that. Do you think that that's something that you'll be able to do with Triarchy?
We're doing it right now.
But as in, if the product's in a store, someone can actually get
That's what
further.
we're doing.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Yeah, so you can literally just, it's a wonderful app, and you just scan the QR code and it brings up all the info. You can literally see where the cotton was grown, in what mode of transportation did it go from field to mill, who milled the denim, what process was used there, how did it get from the mill to the cut and sew factory? Did we use truck? Did we use plane? What was the carbon output of that? You can see the whole journey.
Wow.
And what's cool is that like I look at it from like the lens of a kid, of like looking at like the Indiana Jones map with like the red line with the plane go, you know what I mean? It's like it's neat. Like look at where this is, look at the effort that went into making this thing.
Yeah.
It's like a big deal, these things, you know?
And I think to speak to that as well, Adam, is that a lot of people don't understand the true cost. I know that you mentioned the movie True Cost, but what I mean in true cost, that can embody a lot of things, but what I really mean is the actual cost of the end product, and everything you just explained will show and can show people, look, the reason why you can get $20 denim from here is because
exactly.
you know, you're actually seeing everything here, and these are the reasons why.
And so when you're picking up that $20 pair of jeans and there's no QR code and there's no map and there's no transparency, it's because we really don't want you looking at these things, because it's really not pretty. You know, it's not pretty. Where it's being done, it isn't pretty. How we're treating the people there is not pretty. So prefer you not to look. But $20, so have a good time. Thanks. Like that's the trade, right? Whereas we're like, hey, we know this is not a cheap product, but these are the reasons why. It's not because like I'm like, give me your money. It's just like, it's like, these are the reasons. Like these are the steps. These are the people who were involved in every step of the way. All of those people need to get paid, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, check out, you know, the breakdown of what all this means, and then that just feels so. It makes pricing understandable too. It's not just this frivolous number where a lot of the times with luxury, you'll look at something and be like, why is this $3,000? Just like, help me understand. Just because of that label? Or like, was there craftsmanship? Was there someone in an atelier in Paris doing this for 3 days? If that's the case, I get it. If it's like, someone just did this and went like, put a label on it, then like, no, you know?
Yeah. As you were saying that, there's a film that I actually saw recently. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's called Greed, and it's actually a fictional movie with Steve Coogan. He wrote it, the British comedian.
Oh, you know what? I saw it, and I have to be honest with you that I was like, that triggers me too much, and I'm just not in the space. Like I will, but at the time I was like, I can't watch that shit. It's just like it really is just like, oh, like in what way did you grow up that became like the goal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really? Like,
but the actual, when you're in the right headspace, do watch it, because it does take you on a good journey through it. And the character he plays is this kind of over accentuate, but
it's
then
true,
also,
right? It's based off of what's his name? I forget now.
I think I know you're going to say, but I don't want to say it.
Yeah, leave it alone.
He's got several stores in the UK.
Yeah.
But essentially, it takes you through this journey and into what this man does and trying to get the lowest price denim or the lowest price product to sell at a higher margin. But then at the very end of the film, there's a real twist at it. And then at the end, it shows you all of the statistics of what's currently going on. And it gives a really good insight to the person that watches it about ethics, about sustainability, about practices.
Actually, now that you've said that, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it does shine a light on everything. And it kind of puts the whole movie then into perspective, which is really interesting. But in fact, in part of the movie, it takes kind of part of real life with the factory in India that collapsed and a lot of people died because of the no rules and regulations in actual fashion production, which is crazy.
Well, because we got to a point of just what can we do to make more money? I don't really care about anything except that. And I think this global reset, I mean, if people resume business as usual after, then you're a really shitty person, basically. There's no way around that. You just suck. You didn't really use this time constructively and you're just lame. But whatever you need to do to feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure there'll be many brands and companies left that were of that mindset. I think that essentially what has happened will probably cull a lot of that. And I think a lot of flowers will be grown from this. And I think the wave that was coming before everything happened, which you're a big part of, the real transparency wave, especially in fashion, I think that is definitely going to grow quicker now, for sure. Tell me a little bit about, I saw you just recently did a Memorial Day weekend sale with proceeds going to Isla Urbana. Tell me a bit more about that partnership.
Yeah, they're our charity partner, and we manufactured the brand outside of Mexico City, and we had always wanted a charity element, and then we were introduced to them. And what they do basically is they build and install rainwater catchment systems for people who live in and around Mexico City that don't have access to water. Their houses aren't plumbed with water. And so if you think about it, there's 750,000 people that live in Mexico City proper in homes that don't have access to the water grid, because it's a very political situation and the government controls water and does weird things with it. And so what Isla Urbana does is they install these catchment systems that then Mexico City is the wettest city in North America. So it enables people to harvest their own rainwater and to keep a tank of it and to just be in control of water, which is such a thing that would never cross any of our minds. If we walked over to the sink and turned it on, we'd be like, who do I call? This is ridiculous. Give me my water back. But for some people, it's no, we just don't even have that. So yeah, so we donate proceeds of sales to that charity, because it also made a lot of sense. Our goal is to save water and their goal is to provide water. And so makes sense.
Yeah, I really love that, Adam. And let me say the reason why. I think that if somebody can purchase an item of clothing that you have designed and curated in an ethically and sustainable way that is going to last a long time, but above and beyond that, it's actually going to help other people in a country that is in need for whatever reason, whether it's water. So that's so empowering. I truly believe that. I mean, I'll ask you this in a second, but I truly believe that is really the future of consumerism.
Well, and how nice is that too, when you can go on our website and you can actually, that just gave me an idea. I wonder if there was a way to create an interactive map where you can actually see the locations in which Triarchy's donations have installed actual things. That would be really cool. If I talk to them So you could actually see like we did one here and we did one here and we did one here. Because when I went to visit one of the communities where we installed one of them, it was obviously like see one house get a thing and just be like, that's so cool and lovely.
Yeah.
Like I wonder, I'm going to work on that.
Yeah, I like that. Keep me updated on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I read on your website, and I'd like your take on this. I'm going to read this out. Consumer mission. Actually, sorry, it wasn't on your website. It was on your Instagram. Consumer mission to outfit our customer with the best pair of jeans possible in every sense of the word.
I love that, because that really speaks to like, it speaks to, I'm very aware that when you put on a pair of jeans, you want it to look and feel amazing. And that does have to be the most important thing. Like if I lead with sustainability, but I cut a couple corners in order to get that like really sustainable product, but like it kind of sucks, but yeah, we're doing good for the planet. Like that's not going to work. This is a business, and it's a business in which people want to buy things that they like. And so when I say best, I mean best for you in terms of wearability, and then best for the planet in terms of how we made it. So it's like using that word across every decision that we make,
I think that's great, because that kind of is a North Star of the whole brand ethics, in that, as you said at the beginning of this conversation, you use sustainability as the lens to design through. Essentially, everything that you're doing is with regards to the best outcome for everything, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really loaded question. Actually, no, I want to go back and ask you, some people are probably watching or listening to this that might be fashion designers or young designers or starting up in with a brand in fashion. How did you even get going? How did you even get started with regards to vendors and fabric suppliers when you wanted to really be sustainable?
Like I said, though, at that time, it was like the wild, wild west. There was like, I didn't even know the questions I was asking. I was like, what are you doing on that front? And what does that mean? And like, and then it became, it became much clearer as to what were the most effective ways, and then who was the best at doing those things. And then it's challenging because that a lot of the times for denim, that machinery is expensive. So it's like who bought that? But it was a lot. But I think now, as technology becomes more affordable and this and that, then it's kind of like starting out. I mean, I actually think the best way would be to reach out to a brand that you like and just be like, hey, because like you'll probably get no, but at this, like for me, you won't. I'll share where we do our stuff, because there is no possible way that you could ever be me or you could ever be Triarchy. That's impossible. It's not possible unless you like stole our trademark and like killed me. But even then, you still wouldn't be me. So it's like, I don't have a fear that like someone could like rip us off, or because you're not us. You don't have what we're operating with. You don't have that vibe. It's just, and if you try to duplicate someone else's vibe, that's a double negative for you. So it's a loss. So I have no problem to share it, because the more of us that get on this path, the bigger the path gets. And then the more of us can get on it. And then it's like amazing for everyone. So just ask.
I really love that. And I love your honesty with that as well, Adam. Do you think that it's easier now, today, to go through that process than when you went through it?
100%. Yeah.
There's more
well, I think because you just have more, like you even just have more in terms of like you even would have more brands to reach out to, you know what I mean? Or there's just wonderful platforms like Remake and Common Objective, and there's just so many resources that you can reach out to and just start asking, and it's going to create a trail of introductions or redirections, or
So let me ask you this then. What do you think, or where do you see the future of commerce and consumerism going, especially in fashion?
Well, hopefully, as we're seeing, the idiotic fashion calendar is finally collapsing, which is just delightful on so many fronts. Because there was nothing I hated more than the four collections a year. Like, do you have your resort samples ready? It's just like, what are you talking about? Like, especially in denim, it's like, give me a break. Like, it's denim. Like, there's going to be innovations, there's going to be new stuff, and we'll let you know when it happens. But like, we don't need to be showing four collections a year. It's absolute nonsense. And so I love the idea of just like a proper cadence and something that like the thing is, fashion is art, and yet it became just about money, as I'm sure most things do in this world. But if you're only operating from like volume, sales, line sheets, like buyer's appointment, it's just like you're not. I'm not a creative at all. I'm just like pushing buttons to like make the system work. And I think with this like, you know, restructuring of the whole thing, we have a chance to like do art again and create, like, you know, here in the first month when I was just kind of like, is everyone going to die? I was just like here by myself for a long time. And I actually had the time to just sit down in one stretch and design a new collection. I've never done that. It's
Wow.
always been like, okay, we did that. Okay, we have those styles. Like how many new pieces do you think we should have? 40. Okay, I did two. I'll do six more this week, and I'll do five. And I'll just like put it all together, and I'll send it to you, and we're good. Whereas this was like, what am I vibing with right now? And I just like laid out a bunch of images, and I like watched a couple movies that were like making me think about things. And I just kind of slowly but surely like looked at what was available through a sustainable lens, took those things and then applied them to like the silhouette vibes that I was feeling. And then everything started to just kind of like come together. And then I put it all together and I sent it to my sales team, and they were like, this is lovely, and it's like half the size of what would normally happen, and it's just enough. It's great. And everyone was like, well, this worked out well. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? It's really feels really nice to just like do it like that. And then there's a couple notes and you fire it back and forth, and that's it. It's like, it's not rocket science. We're not building spaceships. Like, we're talking about pants. So like, why is everyone freaking out so much? You know, just like calm down.
I really love that. And you know what? I hope to see some of that process. I would really love to see an insight into how that actually worked. The way you laid that out, the way you said that then.
Yeah, I should have created some content in those days. I just really wasn't you know, it was actually really special for me because I got to just like turn off for a week and design. And that's my job title. And I don't think I've ever done that, you know, because I'm
Yeah.
always like putting out fires and like juggling, you know, it's just like, yeah, it was really nice. It's a nice time.
So hopefully you can structure that in more moving
Oh no,
forward.
there's no question I will be. That's it. Like, I'm never, if I would have to go back to that nonsense, I would just be like, this is ridiculous. No, no.
So Adam, can you give me one piece of advice that someone who's watching or listening can take away and be encouraged by to really take the first step forward in doing something more creative in their life, or and actually how they can look through more of a lens of sustainability? So creative
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
then
100%.
sustainability.
The the number one thing that I would say is that sustainability and creativity are a direct result of mindfulness. And so if we are constantly consumed by social media and consumed by reactive responses instead of introspective responses, we will not create good content. So, you know, when I look towards the designers that inspire me, like Gianni Versace and Saint Laurent, like, these guys didn't have Instagram. They weren't on social media. They were sitting, like, maybe looking at a really beautiful flower and then being inspired to create a collection that if you look at today, your jaw still drops to the floor. So these things that we have now that, granted, yes, they all have positive, they can be positive, but like we're not using them as such, and we all know we're not. Okay. I don't care how you cut it. It's just, we're not. And so you need to really remove yourself from all of these things. And so like from the creative sense, yeah, of course, go on Instagram, go on Pinterest, look and see, and then, but then really just put it away and just see, like, we have this thing about like being empty being bad. Whereas like if we're empty, like if you go to a buffet with your stomach full, you can't eat anything. If you're empty of like distraction and influence and reaction and social media and TV, it's just empty, then like you can fill it up with like all of the beauty of creation that you are inherently born with. But like we quiet the ability to hear ourselves to such a degree that we're just regurgitating everyone else's work. And that's why nothing feels new anymore, because everyone is so loud. And then even on the sustainability front, when you're looking for something, like I can give you all of the facts and figures about everything, but if you're not awake to take it in, it doesn't matter. It means nothing to you. So like we're all so asleep in these social media apps and dating apps and like all of these, oh, look how easy we're making your life. Isn't the future fantastic? Now go back to sleep and let me like take all your money. That's what it is. And so like you need to unplug from the matrix and like just see what comes to you, and not be afraid when your ego tells you that you're missing out and you're failing, and like, oh, you should like be in, you got to keep up with all this stuff because it's important. No, it's not.
I really love that, Adam. I truly do. And as you were saying it, it was making me think. I've been reading Dr. Joe Dispenza quite a lot recently, and he has some incredible things on YouTube as well. And he talks a lot about, you mentioned introspective and going within. And if you are empty, he talks a lot about, essentially he says, nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, no time. If you can get to that
Lovely.
part, you have access to a multiverse as opposed to a universe.
I am so like, and I've been lucky because, and listen to what I'm saying. Like a lot of the time people are like, I've been in quarantine alone. My ego tells me that's bad. I should have a partner. I'm lonely. It's like, I feel so lucky that I have had 2.5 months. Well, my dog is here and I'm obsessed with her, but like to just like nobody, no thing, no, like, and just really go like, what comes from this amount of emptiness? And instead of viewing it as a negative, being like, oh, this is the positive side of the scale. Like, because from here, this is creation. Like, this is where I can do my best everything. And I really agree with that. And I think that society has done a magnificent job at making us think it's the other way. More things, more people, more experiences, more social media. Look at my travel pictures. Look at this. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Look what I have. It's just like, yeah. And then you go to bed at night going like, God, I feel like a piece of shit. It's like, because none of this is actually serving me at all. At all. Whereas like, if you can go to bed from just that, the alternate vibe of like, yeah, sure. Like it definitely feels lonely at times, but that's okay. That's okay. Like, it doesn't always have to feel like, it's okay. Like contrast makes life beautiful.
Yeah.
So when we ebb and flow from these states of fullness to emptiness, and when we allow that flow to happen, that's living. Too much of anything is bad, full or empty, but like let yourself have both experiences.
I really love that. I really love that. I want to ask you one more thing before we wrap this up, Adam. I'm really interested to know if there is a person or a brand or company that you really think is blazing the way and setting new standards, whether it's in sustainability or just in good in general.
Oh, you're really putting me on the spot here. Yeah, I'm sure I do. I just um, I do so poorly when someone puts me on the spot. It's like the whole um, hold on, I can do this. No, but it's like whenever someone is coming into LA and they're like, "Hey, can you recommend some restaurants?" I'm like, I don't remember one restaurant in the city of Los Angeles. Like, and I literally, I have no idea. Like, I can't help you, and that happens all the time. But
Well, you mentioned past designers.
yeah, I mean, but that's like I'm inspired by high fashion from before sustainability even kind of needed to be a thing, and I don't really necessarily know if those houses are doing what they should be doing these days. So, you know, when the namesakes were running them, I mean, that was the shit. Now it's like an umbrella company owned entity that's just rehashing the brand DNA to a new audience with the same price tag and a little bit less integrity, which is okay. But like, it's just, I can't even do it. I actually can't think of one thing.
That's okay. You can think and get back to me on that.
Well, actually, like in not brands, but like what I would shout out is like the companies like Green Story, Retraced, Source Map, like the ones that are making easily accessible platforms for brands to show transparency. That's what I love, because it's like you don't really have an excuse. Like these guys are making it pretty easy for you to just like plug in and display. So that's awesome, because that didn't exist 5 years ago. Like before you would literally have to like do that yourself. And as a brand, you would not do that by yourself. I'm sorry. It's just not realistic. So that those things are coming out because there's clearly a demand for them. That's wicked.
Fantastic. Just repeat those three again.
Green Story, Retraced, Source Map.
Fantastic. I love that. Adam, we're about to wrap this up. Tell everybody else where we can find out more information about you and Triarchy.
So the exciting thing is we're redoing the website, which has been another night. I feel like everyone was like, redo the website. We have time. So that'll come with our new production by probably mid-July, hopefully. And so we're triarchy.com is that. And then the Instagram is Triarchy. My personal Instagram is Adam Triarchy. And those are basically the three places.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Adam, I say this at the end of every conversation, and I truly mean this. I'd like to put together a world advisory board for the planet, and I'd love for you to be a part of it.
Done. Deal.
I think you'd be great. I really can't thank you enough for your time, Adam. You're an incredible person, and I really enjoy your knowledge and insight and everything you have to give.
I love chatting with you anytime.
Thank you. I can't wait to see you soon in real life, mate.
Same.
Take care.
Cheers, brother.
Bye-bye. Bye. Okay. Wow. Adam is an incredible guy. I love speaking with him. I'm very fortunate to have spoken with him on several occasions. I really hope you got some great insights from what Adam had to say there. And I'll be back again later this week. Thank you. Bye.